So this is my most anticipated pieces of 2023. So it's not in any particular order. So starting out here number 10. So we have the Prime 1 Vegeta. I'm very excited for this piece. I own the Prime 1 Goku. Amazing statue. So I'm very interested to see how this one pairs up with it. From photos I've seen that collectors have already received, it looks awesome. So obviously lots of switch outs. One things I do wish they did is include the headstands. I know they do with some statues and then don't with other statues. But again, lots of switch out options. One thing I'm interested to see how it looks in person, because some angles it looks like obviously it's supposed to be a Super Saiyan Vegeta, but it looks like a Super Vegeta in some angles. Like this definitely looks like a little bulky for Super Saiyan Vegeta. But then like looking at some angles, like that doesn't look too bad to me. But again, super excited for this piece. Should begin in the next 2 or 3 months. One thing I'll add to, which kind of disappoints me, is that this is probably going to be Prime 1's last DBZ piece for a while. After the announcement of Vegeta, they showed a little teaser of Frieza, but we just had the part 2 for the Prime 1 event. And there was no shown or mention of any DBZ pieces, so this is probably going to be the last DBZ piece for at least the next year, 2 years for Prime 1. So moving on to the next one, the Stage Cheese Joker. Don't got too much to say about this. I think this piece looks pretty good. I know there's a lot of debate about the green smoke. I don't mind it. I think it's different, which is good for statues. Like you want lots of variety in your statues. You don't want them to all kind of be similar. But I think one thing that really sets this apart is the head sculpts. Like the head sculpts just look amazing on this piece. And there's lots of variety. One thing I do like is like kind of reminds me of the 90s animated series, which I kind of grew up with. And apparently, so scrolling down, one thing I do like I just mentioned, for that there is 2 headstand busts, so you will have busts for your extra head sculpts, which is nice because then you can display them with the statue. One other thing I do like, I would be displaying something like this, the Bane gun. I did own the OG Prime 1 Hush Batman, and one thing I did like about it was the Bane gun, but the flip side of that, it was in the back of the statue, so you really never got to see it. So if I were to get the statue, I'd probably display it something like this. So moving on to number 8 is this is a custom statue, the KD Collectible / Natsukatsu Creations 1-to-1 life-size bust of SSJ2 Gohan. So I think this looks amazing. I did own their original SSJ2 Gohan where he's kind of standing up and he had just transformed. So this reminds me a lot like this, but just a lot more higher quality because they've been doing it longer. So obviously you're going to get better at something the more you do it. One thing they are doing, they're announced on Facebook, is removing that rock, which I really do like. So this one I'm kind of on the fence about. I don't collect busts, but this is my favorite scene in Dragon Ball Z, and I think they just nailed it on this. One thing, the over musculature, like usually KD does go. That's kind of their style, a little more muscular. This doesn't look that bad to me. Like this looks kind of more anime accurate to usually the stuff they do. Again, the blood effects look amazing. This statue just looks awesome to me. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what the prototype looks like when it comes out. This is a render. One other thing I do like is you can seems like the tiers are a switchable option. So again, this statue is just amazing. I'm just kind of waiting to see what the prototype looks like before I order it. And plus, I don't own any busts, so it's just one of those things where I'm on the fence about. So moving on to number 7, this one's been getting a lot of buzz lately. This has just been announced. I think it was only like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it is the XM Symbiote Spider-Man transformation statue. So one thing I do like about this is, again, I like stuff that's different. Like we haven't seen a statue, I think, like this. I think there might have been 1 or 2 customs like this, but no licensed statue. No licensed statue company has tried to do this, so it's awesome. So one thing I've heard people mention is they wanted some blue mixed in with the black. I'm kind of like I can do either or. I don't mind the all black. I don't mind a little bit of blue in between, so that doesn't really bother me. One thing that I wish they would have done though is you can kind of see the chest emblem get cut off here. I wish they would have added it down below. I think that would have really looked good. Um, Like I like how he's struggling to pull the symbiote off him. I know some people said the belt's been done a million times with Venom statues, but I don't really mind it in this case because this is pulled almost straight from the comic slash animation series they did in the '90s. Like he's he's at the church bell. Like it makes sense, right? So one thing that would make me a little nervous about this statue is all of the tentacles. XM is just quality, so I'm sure they'll figure out a way. But I see a lot of breakages here. Um, but again, like just an amazing piece, and I can't wait to see it in people's collection. I probably won't get it, but again, I'm super excited to see what it like, how it ends up looking in people unboxing. I think it's gonna be a really cool piece. So this one here, My Hero Academia, the Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki statue. This one has kind of grown on me. Um, like I'm not a big fan. I gotta be honest. Of the three characters, they did this with My Hero, and they're doing it with My Attack on Titan, or Attack on Titan, and My Hero. And one thing that I really like about this piece, we're starting to see more photos come out of it, and like their displays and stuff like that. Is the ice and the fire effects? I think they did a really good job with that. Um, I'm not a big fan of this head sculpt. Um, but I do really like. So here's a preview of the head sculpt. So honestly, I like the regular head sculpts better than the deluxe. That's just me. If I had to choose one, I'd probably like the deluxe Bakugo over the regular. But again, like seeing pictures and videos of it, like in person, of people taking it like actually in person and not a Prime One, I think like it just looks like Prime One. Everything Prime One does is just quality. And again, like you have the three main characters of the show. You have All Might in the back, which you wouldn't be able to see much, but it's a nice touch, right? In case you ever want to put in on a Lazy Susan or your display as turning options. I think this is just a really cool piece. So next piece up is the Joker Premium Format by Daniel Bell. Again, Daniel Bell just like every sculpt he does just knocks it out apart. Again, this reminds me of the '90s animated series, with more of a adult theme kind of stamp on it. With the blood on the gloves. He's got the crowbar in the back of his hand. Like just the detail on that. If they can reproduce similar quality to this in the factories, I think this is gonna be a knockout piece. Like the purple uniform just looks awesome. The head sculpt I wasn't a big fan of at first, but it's kind of grown on me over time. And one other thing I'll add for the statue that I really like about it is when statue a big thing with statue collectors are obviously space, and this has a small footprint, right? Like the width is only 14 inches, the depth is only 13.74 inches. So again, a really small footprint, which is good for collectors like me who have limited space. So moving on, we have another Daniel Bell piece, The Dark Knight Returns. I think this piece looks awesome. Um, and kind of surprised me because I know this was on waitlist there for a few weeks. It might have been more than that, but it's up for pre-order again. Again, a small footprint, which I like. I mean, it's tall, but when you look at the width and the depth, 22 inches, 21.5 inches, like that's not bad at all. I know this has kind of been. It seemed like a lot of people weren't a fan of this piece, and then all of a sudden, FOMO started kicking in, and a lot of people wanted it, right? Like I know a lot of people were complaining about this looks like an icicle, and you don't really hear that too much anymore. So again, I feel like this is one of these pieces that came out. There was some critiques on it, and then it just really grew with collectors. Like the sculpt on the Batman is amazing. I don't know how you could like hate on anything like just the blood in the knees, the symbol, the cape. The cape in the back's ripped up. He's got like some torn in the back of his arm too. Like it just looks awesome. And the edition size is pretty good. Like 2,500 isn't that bad at all, right? And one thing that I don't mind is that this piece has been delayed a few times, which I'm 1,000% okay with. I'd rather the factories take their time and nail the paint app on this thing because I feel like the paint app's going to make or break this piece. Like we've seen Sideshow come out with like the Dark Side recently. It's been like probably a prime example of where the paint app kind of deterred away from the statue a little bit. So I'm 1,000% okay with it getting delayed a few times, because that just tells me hopefully that Sideshow is making sure the paint app and everything goes smoothly with the statue on release. So coming up, number 3 is the Tsume um, quarter scale Frieza. So this piece just looks awesome. So one thing I will say about the statue is these pictures, I'm pretty sure the eyes have been adjusted a little bit. I know that was a big concern, the likeness of Frieza when the statue first came out. But again, like this statue, you'll never see another Frieza with the death ball, like Planet Namek kind of getting destroyed around them. Like it just looks awesome. Everything Tsume does, again, I know they take a while, but again, it's just quality, right? Like I'd rather wait an extra 6 months to a year and make sure everything comes out great than it getting rushed and not coming out like what the prototype looks like. So kind of a high edition size. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what the production piece actually looks like. I know there's been some photos floating around on Facebook of the body of Frieza looking a little gray. So usually when pieces are this expensive, over $1,000 mark, I'll wait until I see like people get it in hand, the production piece, and because with an edition size of that high, I know I'm probably going to be able to find someone somewhere on a website. So I usually like to wait to see what the production piece looks like. Again, some people say it was looking a little gray. To me, the pictures that I seen, the lighting wasn't the best. So again, I think that's going to be the best one for Frieza for a very long time. It's going to be hard to top. Number 2, Venom Arise. This statue looks awesome to me. I know there was some complaints about the over texturalized. The only thing I really agree with on that is the right arm definitely looks a little bit, but like when you see the photos from the XM store, like this piece looks awesome. One thing I do like, I'm not a big fan of these tentacle heads. So when they make them able to remove them, which XM did, you can remove them on the statue. I'm a big fan of. Again, 3 different face portraits look awesome. Just gonna look for this transformation portrait here. Like, they nailed the face portraits. One thing I do like is the symbol, the white in the symbol looks really like it just stands right out. You got the fingers, nice glossy fingers. Like I think this piece, XM always delivers, so the paint apps are going to be awesome on this. There it is. So there is the transformation head, the best transformation head that I've seen. So again, like everything XM does, it's just quality. They very rarely miss on their paint apps when that comes out. So just going to be an amazing piece. Not that high of an edition, about $599, and the price point isn't that bad at just under $1,100. So my last statue, this won't come out for probably 2 years, but this is just announced there last month at the part 1. It's the Denji Chainsaw Man, and Prime 1 is just, man, their blood effects are so good. Like they've shown it in the Berserker statues and the Resident Evil statues. Those two statue lines come to the top of my head when I'm thinking about blood effects from Prime 1. But this statue just looks amazing. Lots of switch outs. I'm hoping they come out with some headstands for it, but like they show a bunch of different hand portraits. One of him like holding the chainsaw, one of them with open palm, ton out for both things. I think those two probably be my favorite. I do like that Denji head though. Again, this be a big piece, expensive piece. I don't think they've had a edition size yet. I'd say probably be in the 15 to 2,000 range. That's just my guess. But so these are my most anticipated statues over probably the next 2 years. Obviously, there'll be a lot more shown off and released by then. But as of right now, these are my ten most anticipated statues. Comment down below. Let me know if you're pre-ordering these or if you're getting any of these. And yeah, have a good day.